Coming up on this episode of the Unusable podcast.
Everything's a lie.
Blinded by old software.
David gets trapped in a museum.
Well, I got out.
Eventually. Welcome to the Unusable podcast, where we discuss the importance of user experience and sausages. That didn't work, did it? Shall I start again?
We can talk about sausages if you want to.
Welcome to the Unusable podcast, where we discuss the importance of user experience in technology and the world around us, and talk about great design that just works, or moan about it when it doesn't. Whoa. Hello, David. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Do you want to introduce yourselves, and then I'm going to tell you about something that's possibly annoying, but I'm not sure. I want you to tell me if this is something that's annoying.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bit of a teaser, isn't it? Right, so...
Exactly.
I am Andrew Waite, and I am CEO of a software product.
I'm David Ball. I'm a front-end web and app developer. Okay, so what I was going to tell you is that the other week we were going on holiday, so I was driving a fair distance, and so we wanted to find a cafe on the way, just for a little coffee. So we wanted to find a coffee shop. So I had a look on Google Maps, and I thought, oh yeah, there's this place here is ideal. It's not too far off the motorway, easy to get to. It says it's open, but then I thought, oh, it's around about 5 o'clock-ish time. Maybe it's going to close soon. I'll check the opening hours. And so I had a look on Google Maps, and it said closes at 9 p.m. So I thought, brilliant, it's open for ages. But then I thought, whoa, hang on, maybe I've been burnt by this before. So I thought, well, I'll go and have a look on their website, just in case Google's got the wrong information. So I had a look at their website, their official website, and it said, yep, definitely open till 9.
As opposed to their unofficial website, how many places do you know, coffee shops do you know that have an unofficial website?
the fan website, maybe, I don't know.
for the coffee shop just off the motorway.
Anyway, yeah, so it definitely was open until 9. I mean, that was the information that was very clear. We got there, and the lady's like, oh no, we're closing in 5 minutes, so you can't, we've turned the coffee machine off already, so nope. And I thought, well, they're just lying to me. That information was very easy to find, but it was the wrong information. And then that kind of started a series of other events where I thought that I was just being lied to, and I just don't know what's real anymore. I don't know what the truth is about anything. Because if information that we're being told is not true, then, I mean, what is?
I mean, this is getting really serious now. We're in danger of going well deep for the Unusual podcast into politics and stuff here if we're not careful, which is, I think, a bit heavy.
Yeah, but this is how life is. So next day we went to a museum, went to an aircraft museum, and in this aircraft museum, there's a series of hangars, and you go through the doors to get to the next one, and then so we was in one hangar, and I thought, well, where do I go next? There's a door there. I mean, obviously I know where I came from, but there was a door in front of me, but it said on the door, fire door, keep closed at all times. And I thought, oh, can't open that then, can I? Keep closed at all times. So I thought, oh, it must be another way. So I was looking around, trying to find another way, and then somebody went through the door.
Only you would take that kind of message literally.
But this is what I was wondering about. Is that right? Is it only me? Because I'm just looking at the information there, and I'm following the instructions perfectly. I'm just thinking, in my mind, the information is wrong. But you were thinking that my perception of it is wrong.
Well,
so if you saw a door that said "keep closed at all times," you would open it, yeah, and that would be fine and normal.
I mean, when you put it like this, it's one of those things. It's one of those things I've never questioned. But I feel like if I read that, my instant interpretation of it would mean just don't prop it open. Don't hold it open. It's a fire door, so it has to stay closed when you're not going through it. But it's a door, right? Someone has to go through it.
Keeps closed at all times. All times.
Yeah. Okay, so how would you phrase it better? That's less confusing.
How do I phrase that better? Oh, okay. I would sort of say, don't keep it open too long. Just fire door.
I would
just
say
open it for a bit.
A bit. That's more ambiguous. How long's a bit? How long's a bit?
Well, yeah, okay, but at least you're saying that it can be open for a short amount of time.
I would say something along the lines of fire door, close immediately after using.
Opening.
Using. Close immediately after walking.
Opening?
No, because you have to open
Walking
it
through. You're being very specific.
I know.
I suppose.
Close behind you. Close behind you. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Nice,
Yeah,
friendly way.
That makes sense actually. Close this door behind you. That sounds like a good sign.
Fire door. Close this door behind you. There you go. We've solved the world's problems again on the Unusual podcast.
Right. Next problem.
Right.
Next, went to a cafe. On the door, so there was 2 doors you can. The door said guide dogs only. Now, even I can figure this one out.
Was there a separate pedestrian entrance for humans? Or
I was looking for the humans only door. Only for guide dogs. Now, I can figure that one out. But I do wonder, if you're giving instructions like that, how many people are gonna follow it to the T? Oh, another one. So this was back during like COVID times when all the restaurants seemed to go crazy on the signage. There was a sign outside this one restaurant that's near us that says "Wait here," and so I went there and I waited there. And after a while, somebody came out and like, you can just go in, I was like, oh. Well, why is there a sign saying "wait here" then? So I was just waiting there like a bit of a plonker.
I wonder if you're a little bit too obedient, because I do think if you go around your life looking at every sign and just taking it at face value, it's just too obedient. I think you're your own master.
Yes, you're
got to make your own decisions.
You're right. Yeah. Each of those things, yes, I know. I can figure out that. I mean, I figured out that the door you could go through, but I mean, it did throw me for a fair while. But which of the instructions do we pay attention to, and which ones do we not? Because if you're driving and there's a sign that says, the speed limit, or there's a sign that says no entry, or something like that, you have to. You have to.
Well, I don't think necessarily
pay attention to it.
I'm not
legally,
unless
it's in a car park.
That's true. Like, I would break the rules on the road if I thought it was appropriate to do so. Does that make me a rebel and a rule breaker?
Well, you're literally admitting that you are a rule breaker. Yeah.
Okay, so for example, I will, generally speaking, obey the speed limit. I'm a pretty I don't like going over the speed limit. But, if I was to start overtaking someone, for example, and I saw an oncoming vehicle and I knew that for my own safety I needed to floor it to get past that vehicle, and that meant breaking the speed limit, I'm not going to just sit there, am I, doing not exceeding the speed limit and just have a head-on collision with another car? Like, I think you have to use your own judgment.
Well, no, you brake safely. But, okay, you will obey speed limits, obviously. We all have to.
Most of the time, but I still apply my own judgment. I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
I'm not a robot, am I? We're not robots.
No, of course, but speed cameras don't care. Speed cameras don't have a concept of nuance. They know that if you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law. There's no... It's very black and white.
True, but I bet if you got a speeding ticket and there was actually a legitimate reason for you speeding, you could probably explain it away and not get fined. I would think.
Maybe.
I'm sure that's rare. But if you did have a legitimate excuse...
But anyway, speeding is not really the good enough example. What if there's a sign that said you have to take the next exit, or a sign that said...
Why would I have a reason to disobey that?
Maybe it's written in Comic Sans. Would you obey it? If it was a road sign written in Comic Sans,
of course I would.
Would you?
Of course I would. I mean, I'm not saying that I break the rules for the sake of breaking the rules. I'm just saying that I use my own brain and my own judgment. And if a sign is clearly telling me to do something that isn't in my best interests, then I'm going to disobey that, which I think is right. If you can't just be a zombie following the rules all the time.
I agree with that, but I do think that makes it very confusing which signs to follow and which ones not to.
So you like it to be black and white?
No, I just like things to be accurate. If there's a sign on a shop window that says open, I'd like it to be open. Or if it was closed, it would be closed.
Can I tell you about one of my pet hates? I quite often end up setting alarms off in shops.
God.
I don't know if you've been to one of the, like, there's certain shops where you go in and the only way to get out is through a checkout. Do you know those kinds of shops? One of them is Aldi, where you go in, and if you browse and you decide you don't want to buy anything, you're not permitted to leave without going by a checkout, because they've not built into the process the concept that anyone might possibly not want to buy something. So what I will usually do is just find the easiest way to leave, but quite often that means going through a barrier that says no entry, and I've set alarms off before, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like, you can't
How are you setting the alarm off?
because it's like an alarmed barrier that says no entry.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, so you are literally going through something that says
but I'm
no
like,
entry.
what am I supposed to do? I don't want to buy anything. I can't work out how to get out. I'm just going to go through the no entry sign, and that sometimes sets an alarm off. But I'm like, I don't. What are they going to do? They can't hold me against my will in the shop until I buy something. I'm just going to leave. And I don't really care if they want, if they want to get stroppy about it. It's I use my own judgment. I'm not, generally speaking, I'm not a rule breaker. In fact, I'm the opposite. I'm probably too obedient, if anything. But yeah,
except for all these instances that you've given very clearly today of rules that you break.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm allowed to break rules, but other people aren't. That's the truth.
That is absolutely not true. So I found this. This was actually posted in February 2022. So it's about two people, I think maybe three people actually, and they are blind. So the title of the article is "Their Bionic Eyes Are Now Obsolete and Unsupported."
Okay.
So it's about these people who have had some technology fitted, some quite advanced technology, giving them the power of sight, or a kind of a rudimentary kind of sight by the sounds of it. But I mean, if you're totally blind, then I mean, anything's better than nothing, isn't it? And so can't find the name of the company here. In fact, maybe I shouldn't say the name of the company. But what had happened? So these people have got this kind of retinal implant, and that allows them to see. I think it's like light and dark, and they receive updates to this implant, just like you receive updates to your phone or your computers or whatever. But the thing is, the company behind it has just disappeared. They've just kind of gone bust, and I don't think the company was particularly very good in the first place. And so now they're kind of stuck with this thing that is, it's not just technology that they've bought, it's technology that is literally implanted into their heads, and they're not going to receive any updates for it. And if it, one person said that it powered down completely and it's never come back on. Another person said his is working fine, but he knows that, well, if it goes wrong, he's got nowhere to take it. He's got no, I mean, what's he going to do? If the company that built it is no longer around, then what are you going to do? So I just thought that this is a kind of interesting thing about redundancy and technology.
I mean, that's awful, though, isn't it? You've paid. I mean, I assume they paid. Is this an American thing, or would it have been funded by a health service? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, does it?
Let me find out. I think it is American. Yes. So the lady in question was on a New York City subway during rush hour when her world abruptly went dark. She used a high-tech implant. She's been using it for 4 years. It gave her a crude kind of bionic vision, partially compensating for the genetic disease that had rendered her completely blind in her 30s. And it just kind of went beep, 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 and then turned off. And just imagine how awful that would be. You're walking around and suddenly you can't see.
It's genuinely awful. But, yeah, it's... Yeah. I feel like this is a problem of our ever-increasingly connected world, to be honest. And I don't mean to, because genuinely that sounds horrific, and I don't mean to trivialize it, but I have a similar thing with games consoles where, like, so I've got an old Nintendo. I've got a Nintendo 64, and like it's now 26 years old since that came out. 96, I think it came out, and I can still just plug the cartridge in, turn it on, and it works because it doesn't rely on anything external, right? You just plug it in, turn it on, and it works. Obviously, you do need a TV that's able to support whatever video output it has, but it works, right? And I was thinking about this the other day, like my modern Xbox, I've got an Xbox One, which isn't the latest, I know that's like a bit dated now, but I've got an Xbox One. And I was thinking to myself, in 26 years time, every time I turn the Xbox One on, it does an update, it calls home to like check that the license is valid and all that kind of stuff. Like in 26 years, like there's no way that an Xbox One's still going to work. And it's kind of like, yeah, I just think that's interesting. Like this ever connected world that we have, relying on a company continuing to support your thing for it to function. I think that's a bit of a, I mean, cars are the same actually. Like, I've got an old van, as you know, like an 80s van, and it's just, it works. It's a thing. Whereas like, yeah, I can just imagine modern cars. Imagine if a modern car breaks and it's 30 years old, and it's all software, isn't it?
No one supports the software anymore. Yeah. But then, I mean, okay, on the flip side of this, if you think about the company that's supporting this technology, the technology of the car or the technology of the implants for these people that allow them to see, I mean, if they're not making the right kind of money out of it, then they've got to support people's wages. They've got to pay for this technology. They can't be expected to provide support forever.
But does it? Okay, but you know that you said it doesn't work anymore. But what about it required support from the company, right? So was it built in a fundamentally flawed way that meant in order for it to function, it had to, I don't know, like call home or something to work? Or is it just that it broke and people were stuck because they couldn't get it fixed? I feel like that's slightly different. Was it a bad design decision, or was it just that they unfortunately bet on a product that the company went bankrupt?
So the reason why I'm not mentioning any names of the people or the company is because I don't want to get it wrong.
Okay.
But for the one example was that a lady, it powered down because it broke, and then one other person said that it was still working, but he was assuming that at some point it will just break at some point. I can only imagine it's like running an old version of Android or something. Like if it's probably fine to run an old version of any operating system unless something goes wrong, in which case you're kind of a bit buggered, aren't you?
Yeah, that's true.
Fine.
Have you heard of a McLaren F1 car?
Racing car, fast car.
It held the speed record for a long time. It was the fastest production car you could buy, and it has gold in the engine bay, as if you need
gold.
That. But yeah, apparently it reflects heat better, I think.
Okay, fine.
Or something like that. Anyway, by the by, they came out in the 90s, and in their day they had quite sophisticated computer software on them, and you had to have a very particular type of it would be like Windows 95 laptop or something to plug into it in order to service it, right? Like a modern car has computers on it.
Okay, yeah.
But obviously, in order to these cars are worth a lot of money. They're worth even now they'll be probably worth millions, I'd imagine. But yeah, in order to keep supporting them, they still have to have this fleet of creaking Windows 95 laptops. And if they, do you know what I mean? If they die, you can't go and just get another Windows 95 laptop to continue to support it, because obviously the software they wrote originally, McLaren, to support it would have been for Windows 95. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's what do you do when things like that become obsolete?
Your story just reminded me of when. Do you remember going to that racetrack, the go-kart that we went to? There was me, you, and lots of other people. Was it maybe it's for your stag do? I can't remember. And so we had these scoreboards up on the around the track, so that you could see who's in first place and your lap times and all that sort of stuff. And this was not too long ago that we went, but I swear it was running DOS, wasn't it? It was all text. It was just text.
Oh, probably, yeah.
No graphics. And I just imagine that being run from some really, really old computer, and that the company probably just not even know where to start to replace it. If that went wrong, they'd be like, "Oh my god, we need an expert in Windows 3.1."
Yeah, it better just keep working. I remember you just reminded me of something. I used to work when I was younger. I had a summer job at Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
That one, yeah. They
It's a magical place. We're on our way there.
With toys of a million, all under one roof.
Under one roof.
It's called
Toys
R Us.
Right, what's your story?
Unusable podcast. Yeah, anyway, so they trained me up on how to do finance applications for people. So they'd come in and want to buy like a laptop because they sold a few bits of electronics as well. So people would come in and buy a laptop and it'd be £1,000 or whatever, and they'd want to do a finance application. And the computer to do the finance application on was, like you just said, it was like some old DOS computer, which even that, we're talking about Windows XP days, so. It was old, right? It was a really old, like, antiquated sort of system that, it didn't even have a mouse, right? You navigated around the screen using the F keys and, like, up and down and left and right and stuff to do these finance applications. And I remember everyone would complain about it, about how rubbish it was. And eventually they said, oh, don't worry. We've replaced it. We've upgraded it. We're going to give you a modern Windows computer. And so they took this old computer away and they bought in this Windows computer. And do you know what it did? It was a Windows computer, but when you started it up, you had to open a program which basically just in a window did exactly it had the old system running.
Emulated the old one.
Yeah,
it's just an emulator.
In an emulator in a window. So they hadn't really improved anything about the experience. It was just now running emulated on a modern computer. I mean, maybe that was less of an admin headache.
When another version of Windows came out, what did they do? Just run an emulator that ran the first emulator?
So it's just emulators all the way down. Underneath it's just like an old, I don't know, like an old Atari or something at the lowest level. Just emulated up, running on like this world's most sophisticated hardware.
Like emulator inception.
Talking about products becoming obsolete though, and again I feel like I need to stress, because that story that you brought up, it's genuinely really sad, isn't it? And I feel like I need to stress that all the other stuff we're talking about seems incredibly trivial by comparison. People have literally lost their sight because a company ended support for something, and I feel like I need to really stress that whatever I'm saying here is not trivializing that. But yeah, there was a couple of other things about obsolescence causing problems for people that I was going to mention. There was a big story about Sonos, wasn't there? Do you remember this? They ended support for their older speakers. See, Sonos, the speaker company.
That's it. Yeah. What happened? It seemed to be a big deal, or like they.
Well, okay, so yeah, they basically said we're not going to support these old speakers anymore.
But does that mean that they're going to instantly stop working?
I don't know. I without reading into it, I'm not 100% sure. But they said that they'd give 30% off to people to buy a new one. But I think the important point is that it's a speaker. It doesn't its primary job is to output audio. It may still have been it sounded fine and been functional, and yet it had to go into landfill. It had to be binned basically because the company wouldn't support it anymore or allow support for it, which I think is a bit of a shame.
Isn't that the same for a lot of our technology, like old laptops, old phones, things like that?
True.
It's not the hardware that's failing in most of the cases. It's that the software is just too old and unsupported.
I know, but that didn't used to be the case, did it? I mean, like I said to you a minute ago, I've got a 1985 van. It still works exactly as it did when it was new because it doesn't have any software. It's all just mechanical.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm not saying that
this has been happening since the dawn of time, though. I reckon, like, the first caveman to get an axe, to like make himself an axe, would then someone else would come along and go, hey, look, I've got a better axe. Axe 2.0. It's better than yours. You've got to upgrade.
Yeah, but the important part is that an axe as a physical item is going to just keep working, isn't it? Like, as long as it's sharp and it's physically fine, it doesn't matter if axe version 16 comes out. Axe version 1 works just as well. But the problem with these products that are driven so much by software, and also products that are driven, by the cloud, where in order to function they have to contact a cloud service. As soon as that cloud service goes away, they stop working. In fact, I can tell you about, oh god, this is going to make me sound like a proper tinfoil hat wearer, but a genuine concern for me is that services like Netflix and things will go away. So let me take a step back a second. So like 10, 20 years ago, everyone had like a collection of DVDs or whatever, right? It was physical media. And even if, the internet went away, you could still watch your DVDs. You still had your own media. These days, I don't know anyone that has a DVD collection. I don't know anyone that has like a movie collection or anything like that, because people just go, oh, I'll just stream it. I'll just get it on Netflix. I'll just get it on. Yeah. But that's totally reliant on, again, that company continuing to provide that service. It's reliant on the fact that you can afford to pay for that service. And I hate that short-termism. I don't like it. So I still buy DVDs.
Yeah.
I still have it sounds like a weird tinfoil hat wearing thing.
All
but I
right,
actually
old
still
man.
buy.
I've got my video. I've gone to Blockbusters. I thought we could segue very perfectly from that into an email that was sent to us by Adrienne Grace, who shall I read the whole thing? I'll just summarise it. So they said that in the US, PBS is a public broadcast service which has a ton of programming.
Is that what it stands for? You said
PBS,
public PBS is a public broadcast service, but literally they're the letters PBS. Is that what it stands for?
Is the public broadcast service? I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, they've got a ton of programming that they like to watch, so we use their streaming service on our TV quite a lot, and shows that have several episodes and several seasons. The complaint: the interface automatically brings you to the first episode of the most recent season, unlike something like Netflix, which picks you right up where you left off. So, I mean, yeah, you don't want to skip straight to the latest season, but I suppose it depends. If you're watching a crime drama. Like I was watching a crime drama one time, and for some reason there was a weird glitch, and it skipped to the first episode and started on episode 2. And the very first scene is like a recap, and it showed what the main character just being killed immediately. And so that when I thought, oh, hold on a minute, I've not seen this. I'm going to have to watch episode 1 now, and so it totally wasn't a surprise when that character just got offed in a gory way.
So annoying.
However, it's completely different if you wanted to watch the news, or if you wanted to watch, I don't know, a current panel show or something like that. Maybe.
I see. Because you
like a panel show based on the news, something like that. You might want it to be the latest. Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this before, but you don't want to watch series 1 of the news, do you? It's just you don't marathon all that through. It's just a bit annoying.
I mean, somebody might.
Yeah, you really, really get a good grasp of what's going on.
The one that bugs me on some of the streaming apps in the UK, the ones that are ad supported, is they obviously force you to watch the ads, which is, I guess, it's annoying but understandable, right? They want to get their ad revenue.
That's how they make money.
But what's annoying is if you sometimes like either they'll glitch or you will accidentally like quit the app or something, and then it makes you re-watch the ads again. Do you know what I mean? Or like maybe you stop watching it and you come back the next day and you have to watch a whole new set of ads. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't. I just hate that. That just bugs me. Most infuriating website of the podcast.
So I was trying to book a train ticket on a train website, and the cookie consent that popped up, it you know how it usually gives you I accept the cookies or decline the cookies. Both those options were just completely blank, so I couldn't press any of them.
Most infuriating website of the podcast. So famously, the company that makes things that they then drop support for is Google, right? Google has a reputation for launching products and services and then just going, actually, I can't be bothered anymore. Have you heard of the website killedbygoogle.com?
Oh, let's go through some of those. I forget. Is this going to be a 3-hour podcast?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like, we could be here a long time. There's lots and lots of things on there.
I've just Googled for it, but the website's not working. Maybe that was a Google website.
What, killedbygoogle.com? So, things that have been axed.
I mean, there's obvious ones. Google Plus, Google Buzz.
Hangouts, yeah.
Did anyone ever use
AngularJS?
Wait, what?
No, that's where they axed it.
Okay. Google Wave. Google Wave was so hyped up. It was so weird.
What? The Google Home Max was killed? Is that just because... Surely you can still use it if you got one.
You find it out just right now that the technology that you've literally got has been...
this is one that irritated me. This is one that irritated me. Google Play Music. I used to really like Google Play Music. I thought it was much better than Spotify. Maybe that's a weird thing to say. But they axed it and they replaced it with YouTube Music, and it's nowhere near as good. It's absolute rubbish.
Well, it's fine.
That really irritated me.
I use that all the time. It's good.
No. The Google Play Music was better. It just had a nicer UI. But maybe I'm just stuck in the mud. I sound like a old fuddy duddy, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
Google Plus, Chromecast Audio. Oh, so many things that they've just killed.
Chromecast Audio was brilliant. Is that definitely been like discontinued then? So
yeah,
Chromecast,
and do you know that
which Chromecast is brilliant, but it's Chromecast for your speakers.
Yeah, so if you didn't want a smart speaker, you just wanted like an old, you've got an old good set of speakers that you wanted to keep. You could upgrade them to be smart with this little dongle. Yeah, and used ones. So even though they don't sell them anymore, I think it does still work. So. But yeah, used ones are really expensive. If you go on eBay, they're like quite expensive to buy because they're in demand, right? People want, because you can't get them anymore. Okay, well that was it. Anyway, I just wanted to. Well, that was an interesting thing about dropping support. How can you mention dropping support without talking about Google?
I've got some Twitter followers. Can I tell you about those?
Oh yes, please, David.
Okay, good. We have Miriam Isaac.
Willkommen.
Qasim Yababa.
Willkommen.
Oh, are you saying hello? Right, okay, fine. Rachel Ferguson.
Willkommen.
Moritz Mann.
Willkommen.
Jonathan Adams.
Willkommen.
Rebecca B. Leakley.
Willkommen.
And Nina Gerling.
Willkommen. I'm probably offending anyone that can properly speak German there.
Of course
Is it willkommen? Willkommen? I don't know.
I don't know.
I tried anyway. I
don't know. I'm sure you'll get an email. I think there's quite a lot of people who speak German. It's not a niche language.
Please send your disgruntled emails to David at. I'm sure people can't tell us apart anyway. So yeah, you can have all the disgruntled emails.
3, 2, 1. Bad
usability nightmares.
Horrendous lag. Okay. Do you want to start?
Right. So recently bought a new fridge, David, from a website. Doesn't really matter which one.
From a website.
Yeah, but it's a big fridge, right? In fact, I'll tell you something about this. Do you know an American fridge freezer? Like,
yeah.
Do you know what they're called?
I think in America they probably just call them fridge freezers.
yeah. Yeah.
We call anything that's like massive and excessive an American style fridge freezer.
Well, not anything.
Not anything. No. It has to be a fridge freezer.
Yeah. Anyway, so bought this big fridge freezer, and when we went to check out, it said, "Would you like free delivery, where we'll drop it off outside your door, or do you want to pay £30 for our bulky item delivery, where we will bring it inside to the room of your choosing, and we'll take the packaging away?" Now, so I thought that's a lot of money. I reckon I can carry a fridge inside. I think it'll be fine. And I was saying to my wife, like, no, let's just save the money. We'll manage it. It's fine. Whereas she said, no, they take the rubbish away. We want the service. So I reluctantly agreed to pay the £30 for the bulky item delivery charge. So anyway, they then sent me a message to say that they would be delivering this fridge freezer between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. and I on a bank holiday. So this is bank holiday Monday in the UK, where nobody's at work. It's like everyone has a light. Everyone has a light. In. Yeah. And they sent me a text message saying,
not the people delivering fish freezers.
Yeah. Well, I actually assumed it was an error, because I was like, surely they mean like between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. or something. Like, they're not actually going to turn up, because imagine how early they must have to get up to like load the van and set off, because they were coming from Leicester, which is about an hour away. They must have set off at like 5. Anyway, so yeah, they
right. That's all part of the service. They want that £30.
They showed up at 6:30 in the morning on a bank holiday with this fridge freezer.
Blimey. Right, okay.
And to get it into the house for their £30, they had to remove one of our house doors. They had to remove
what?
Yeah, they had to remove the doors from the fridge freezer itself. So they had, and this is a fridge freezer with an ice maker and a water dispenser on the front. So they had to remove the doors of the fridge freezer on my driveway at 6:30 in the morning on a bank holiday, and they removed the doors of my house to get the fridge freezer into the house, into the correct room, and then they reassembled everything back together again. And after they'd gone, my wife just looked.
How big is this thing?
It's pretty big.
Can you get in it?
Oh yeah, definitely. You could definitely get in it. I reckon. Yeah, on the fridge side, but not the freezer side.
Right. Okay. Are we try? Is that where you're gonna go for if there's a nuclear explosion, like Indiana Jones?
No. What is it? Does he get frozen in? No, that's Star Wars, isn't it? Frozen in.
Oh yeah, no. I mean in Indiana Jones, where there's a nuke goes off, and so he gets in the fridge.
Does he?
And he's fine.
Is that a proven technique, or is that just Hollywood?
I've no idea.
Anyway, yeah, my wife said to me, she was like, "Can you imagine what would have happened if we hadn't paid the £30? We'd have been woken up at 6:30 in the morning on a bank holiday to a fridge freezer on our doorstep, and then we'd have been like, I mean, what would we have done? We'd have been like,
meanwhile, the guys are just like waving as they're driving off,
just laughing.
See ya.
Just what would we have done? What would we have done at like that hour of the day? Like, I can just imagine now. I'll tell you what I'd have been doing. I'd have been phoning
outside,
you
probably.
up. I would have been phoning you up, Dave.
Oh,
I'd have been waking you up saying, come and help me with this fridge freezer. So, it's a good job.
I'm known for my strength, aren't I? I can lift two of them. Oh, so what I was going to tell you about is, so I had to help my dad install Windows. He's got a brand new Windows laptop. And I've not used Windows in a while. Did
it not come with Windows installed on it already?
Yeah, but when you first open it, it sets it all up. So I mean, that's what I mean. Really. Wait, hang on.
Oh, like the setup phase.
Yeah, so the setup phase. So it comes pre-installed with lots of stuff that's just a bit confusing. I mean, and I don't know how much to say about this really, because I don't want to go on about it too much, but it's just a few things that are just a bit confusing. So Windows comes with a store now, the Microsoft Store. So I mean that's probably not new for this version or anything. It's just that they're kind of pushing it as the way to install software. Just because I know in the past, if you want to install something, you used to have to go to a dodgy website, and then it was full of ads. I remember one time I was on the phone talking my dad through installing a certain piece of software like WinZip or something, and he's like, "Oh, do I click on the thing that says install?" And I was like, "Yeah, click on the thing that says install." But what he'd actually done is click a banner advert that just had the word install in it. Imagine a website. I'm kind of blind to the adverts, but somebody who may maybe not have that experience. Oh, there's just all these install buttons all over.
No, but they do, don't they? Like those sorts of download websites where you're downloading something, the adverts will all say like download, so there'll be like 10 download buttons on one page, and your job is to try and hunt out the accurate download button amongst the ones that are just gonna send you somewhere else to something else. And it's always when it's something
anyway.
A little
Hopefully
bit
that sort of thing is Well, game
downloads, like game plugin downloads or whatever. It's always those kind of sites.
I seem to remember back on like Windows XP days, I don't think you could get WinZip. I don't think it zipped. I don't think WinZip came as standard on your computer, so you had to download it separately from some dodgy website or something like that. Anyway, now it's all through the App Store. That's what they tell you. Anyway, first thing I want to install. What's the first thing that you'd install on a brand new laptop?
Me, web browser.
Exactly. So it comes with Edge, and Edge is probably fine actually. But I asked my dad, what do you want to use? He wants to use Chrome. That's what he's used to. Have a look in the Microsoft Store. Chrome's not in there. So immediately, the very first thing you want to install is not in the Microsoft Store. So
but I don't know if it's anything like the.
We've had to sort of go off piste.
I don't know if it's anything like the Apple one, but because it's the Apple Store on. But apparently, developers don't want to put their apps in there because as soon as you agree to it and you put your app in there, Apple then take a cut, right? And I'm assuming Microsoft does the same thing. So if Chrome put its app in the App Store, then Microsoft has some level of control, and it's that control they're trying to avoid giving away, I think.
So also part of getting a new laptop, I kind of want to uninstall lots of stuff that doesn't need to be there to save space, and also just because it's probably a bit confusing. So removing a few things like Office and stuff like that. Like Office is way too expensive, I think, especially when there's free versions available.
Yeah.
So what I noticed is for the average user, this is probably a bit confusing, because if you were to, I know every operating system does this in a different way, but on a Mac, you just go into applications and you delete it, right? It's as simple as that. Linux, I think you do it through some sort of centralized application thing, I think.
Package manager normally,
Yeah. But on Windows, you can't delete anything because there's like a billion files all over the system. So you can add, remove programs.
The registry.
The registry, all that sort of stuff. And I thought that this would be simple now that they've got the App Store. So I'm doing a search throughout through the operating system for add remove programs. But what I notice is it's weirdly inconsistent because sometimes it calls a program, sometimes it calls it an application, and sometimes it calls it an app. And for me, I know that all those three things are the same. But for somebody who maybe doesn't, they might be like, well, what's a program? Why is that different to an application? I've heard what an app is because apps are on your phone. So, I mean, I think most people seem to know what an app is, but a program is just what we used to call it.
It is actually really important when you're doing microcopy to have consistency, I think, because
what do you mean?
It might be obvious to as in just so you're doing the copy on your site or your program, whatever you're building as an engineer.
Yeah.
That you have to use consistent terminology because if you say, if you alternate, people will get confused. I've had this multiple times.
And then they just get annoyed.
Because I'm although I say consistency is important and it's something that I strive for, I have made mistakes before where I've used inconsistent terminology because it's obvious to me, but to other people it's not. And you get a report from someone saying, well, where's the button that does that? And you go, oh, okay, obviously you don't, it's not obvious to you that that's the same thing, and you fix it.
Okay, so we've learned a lot in this episode, Andrew.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the final thoughts. David's final thoughts. So what we've learned is, if you're making software, you've got to be consistent with your naming. You've got to make sure that you keep people updated and don't pull their software out from under them, especially if they're blind and they're relying on your software.
Yeah.
What else we learned?
If you buy a fridge freezer online, pay for the optional extra delivery.
Absolutely. Right.
That kind of advice you will not get on any other podcast.
Right, then now we can end the podcast. So that is the end of the podcast. If you've seen or used something unusable recently, we want to hear about it. You can email us at podcast@theunusable.com, and we're on Twitter @unusablepodcast. If you've enjoyed this, there's plenty more. The last episode we talked about Jacob's Law. And we also have some Unusable t-shirts and hoodies available to buy on the website podcast.theunusable.com.
Music is by Gold5472. Please leave a review for us wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe if you haven't already so you'll get a notification about the next one. And that's it until next time. Goodbye!
Bye!